Today, we are joined by Amy Clausen, and I always get excited in this particular space when I get to work with Amy because Amy was the first RTS family support person within our division at Cincinnati Children's Hospital and within our UCED or University Center for Excellence. And Amy comes to this room with a wealth of experience in her family support role that made her a natural for supporting the families that we have a privilege to work with who have Rubinstein-Taybi syndrome. I'm going to let Amy introduce herself a little bit at the beginning here. But Amy is here in Ohio with us, but has a long time tie to the Rubinstein-Taybi syndrome community. I thank you all for coming, and I'm going to let Amy have the floor.
Yes, thanks, Celia. Good evening, everyone. It's an honor, and I'm so happy to be with all of you once again. It's been a few years, or shall we say, probably about 10 years since I've been in Cincinnati working directly with the RTS families at Cincinnati Children's. I am here tonight at Celia's request to talk with you about organizing your child's records. It's something I have worked on with families for many, many years now, and we're going to look at tips and tricks how to manage your child's medical, educational, and therapeutic information. And currently, I am affiliated for sure with Cincinnati Children's because I am the program coordinator with Ohio Family to Family. Although I no longer live and work in Cincinnati, I live and work in Cleveland, Ohio, Northern Ohio. And in my Ohio Family to Family role, we sit within the University of Cincinnati Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities, which is where Celia works, that is housed within Developmental and Behavioral Pediatrics at Cincinnati Children's Hospital. So for those of you who are interested, a few personal notes may be helpful. I have a 28-year-old son and a 29-year-old son. My 28-year-old still lives with us at home. He has severe disability. And so I live it, love it, and hopefully pass on all these little tips and tricks that I enjoy working with families on. And as I said, we've been up here about 9 years in Northern Ohio. I travel all over the state to work with organizations and families to do this work of family support. So let's get started. As I said, I work within University of Cincinnati Center for Excellence, along with Celia. And here's a little bit about Ohio Family to Family. We serve families in Ohio that have children and youth with special health care needs, including RTS, of course, and lots of other diagnoses. We support families so that you can be the best you can be at advocating and supporting your own child and family. And we do this work because the health of the child is the ultimate goal for us and you, as we know. At Ohio Family to Family, we are a grant-funded statewide program, and we help families navigate healthcare and service systems. What does that mean specifically? We help a lot of families work with health insurance providers, understand their health insurance. We help you appeal and apply to various insurances in Ohio. We're lucky to have, of course, Ohio Medicaid, but also complex medical help, which used to be called CMH, the acronym. And it's a program specifically designed for extra health insurance for children under the age of 26 who have special health care needs. So we look at all kinds of insurance. We help families with support one-on-one that is confidential and free. Like I said, there are 3 of us in Ohio, and we all have children of various ages and stages and types of disabilities. We also help families navigate healthcare systems, how to communicate within those systems. If you've heard the term, we don't know what we don't know, that's what we are here to help you with. And we provide free education and training, just like tonight, but also sometimes one-on-one training. And we're unique because we know what it's like living with a child with a disability. There are no eligibility requirements other than you have a loved one with a special need. We also have our Ohio Parent-to-Parent program, and a brief overview of P2P, we call it, is that because of our intense knowledge of living with a loved one with a disability or special health care need, we know that we can sometimes benefit greatly by having a peer to rely on to talk with. So we have a parent matching program that is also statewide called Ohio P2P. And this is our QR code if you're interested in that and you want to be matched with a parent or family member that has similar circumstances as you. And we also are constantly training referred parents if you ever want to support another parent. I hope that helps give you a little bit of information about me and what I love doing, along with my colleagues around the state. So let's get into why we're here this evening. Sometimes our lives as families feel like this colorful map. It's a map that was drawn by another mom some years ago who wanted to depict or share to other professionals that seem to sometimes have no idea what we live with. You know, she wanted to share how many systems and services and people that are involved in her child's life. And you can see that the child is always in the center and the family is around that nucleus, around that child first. And the family is usually supporting that child with all of these different colors and sectors of systems. And it's hard to keep track of all of these people and services and agencies and doctors and therapists and school. So we are here tonight to help you think through this, what this looks like for your child and your family, and how we can help support you by staying organized or getting organized. So often we say, I'll get organized someday, right? I kind of know where my child's records are. They're not always together, but I kind of know where they are and how to get them if I need to. Well, one of the reasons why we don't want families to do that, and we encourage families to think about organizing now, because if there's that emergency, where you have to have important information at your fingertips or now on our cell phones, right? It's easy to have anything on a smartphone or iPad. But in an emergency, you want to have information, especially if you're out of town, and you don't have access to your doctors or typical people that help your child. Um, what happens if you, as the primary caregiver, aren't around? Other people in your child's life really need to have access to this information. Um, Being organized really helps improve communication with all of the people around your child. It can make your doctor's appointments more efficient during that brief 20-minute appointment. It can help you communicate during high-stress IEP meetings when the words don't come out the way we need them to sometimes. And just the mere thought of keeping important information together, just as an overall improvement in your child's care, knowing that everything's in one place where you can find it easily. Again, I mentioned appointments. It saves time for you and the healthcare provider. And getting started like tonight, no other time like today to get started. So we're going to tackle some tips and tricks. And if anybody has questions throughout tonight, feel free to pop them in the chat. And Celia, if there's a lot of questions or people need me to stop or slow down, please interrupt and let me know.
Absolutely. I'm watching.
Thank you. So we're going to start tonight with a few tips and tricks and ways to think about how to get started. We want you to do what works for you. Not everybody wants to use a smartphone. Not everybody wants to use MyChart or can use MyChart, an online app. Some people want to keep it in a keep your records in a binder on paper. Start small, start with one step. Remember the colors on that care map in the beginning a few minutes ago. Start with one section that's really important to your child, whether it's school or medical appointments, or maybe just a handful of medical appointments if your child has a lot of specialists. The point is continue on with the process after you start. Start with the basics. Sometimes just getting a basic one-page description of your child and maybe a list of medications and healthcare providers is easy for basics. Don't forget, it's never too early or too late. It doesn't matter what age your child is, how long you've waited. It doesn't matter. We don't want you to be in a crisis when your child needs care and you don't have the information ready. So these records are changeable and can be modified, edited, and looked at several times a year or once a year, at very least once a year. Just remember, this is a process that you probably are going to have to keep up with throughout your child's life, but that's okay because others have done it and I do it too. So let's think about how to bring it all together. There are ways to organize, as I said. Some people prefer a hard copy binder that has maybe folders and tabs in it. If we were in person, I would show you examples, over the years, my child's binder and folders have sort of ebbed and flow, into various kinds of binders with different kinds of information. And sometimes I needed more than one binder in each year. There are computer files that you can use on your own computer using folders and subfolders. You get to choose the main topics, the highlighted topics or categories, remembering the color-coded care map a few minutes ago. You can use a cloud-based library such as Google Docs. You can use any kind of online documentation system that you choose. You can use apps on your phone or iPad, or any smart device. And you can use definitely a combination of methods. This is actually very common to use a combination. I don't want to scare anybody. It may sound daunting, like why would I want to use a combination? But it's reality, right? Sometimes we need a binder for some things, but we need a way to organize it in a way that is usable and that makes sense to us. I mentioned earlier that we all usually, in most of the major health systems, have a MyChart system or MyHealth. Those are provided by medical centers or hospitals. And many of our specialists and doctors use that. And we can get their notes after the visits and appointments off of those apps and save them, and then either print them, make notes on them, or file them in a binder or in our computers. So just think about that. And again, some of our rural areas of Ohio and the United States and countries have something different or have a different application online. So this is just an example of what we know here most of the time that are used. Now in Ohio, and I realize some of you may not be in Ohio, we have a home and community-based service through our Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities. This service requires that our children or adults or loved ones have a service plan. So if someone with a disability or special health care need has a service plan, no matter where you live, that plan can sometimes be available online for you and your loved one to see online. Some of our Ohioans do have it online, some don't. We're in process of our state having all of our individual service plans online. Same Goal is an example of an online tool that's specific to educational documents. That's another example of how all of your child's 504s, IEPs, special education services, documentation, therapy notes, all of that can be held in this unique online tool. And notes from your IEP meetings as well. Don't forget those. Take good notes. Another e-organizer that is really quite interesting to me right now, and I don't know anybody that's using it. So if anybody online today is using this, it's called the Danny Plan, and I gave you the link to it. This is a subscription based, you have to pay to get it, hub that allows you to put all your loved ones' information into one place. So check that out. I really like the website. It looks really good, and I just wanted to share it with you tonight. Examples of materials. We'll go into this a little bit more maybe later if y'all want to talk about this some more, but just a few ideas on what important materials to think about that you should have all in one place eventually. A health summary is a document that we like to share with any of my son's new doctors, new teams, such as school teams. Anybody new to him that needs to know what his sort of overall health picture looks like. Now, in the past, I have been known to write my own. It's like 2 pages. Here's what his past has been medically. Here's what his current status is. And here's a really fun picture. And here's all of his medications, whatever's important to me at the time. Sometimes doctors and nurses have been known to write a really good health summary, especially when transferring to a new doctor. So if you think of transition age, youth with disabilities and special needs, having a strong health summary to pass on to new doctors can be vital to a smooth transition. Medication lists and doctor's lists, always really important to keep track of that, no matter who you are. The older you get, trust me, you'll start forgetting who that doctor was and maybe why you even see them, because again, it's not necessarily about us anymore. It's about our child and who is important to their life. Also, medications. Some doctors want to know the history of medications our children have been on, as well as what they currently take for sure, and the details about each of those medications. Having a one-page description about your child, which we're going to start with later on this evening, can be extremely helpful. And I just want to plant the seed on this tonight. This one-page person-centered description can be your guide to planning every single thing that's important to them, no matter what age they are. This description page can set the tone for every IEP team, for every medical appointment and procedure and therapy, any home care people, if you have home care nursing, home care support staff, and community people, new social groups, new recreation programs that make you fill out all these forms. This description can truly be the key to helping your child have a really good life. That's why I put those first three first. Those three, if you can start with those, you're going to be great. Of course, you want the RTS information sheet for healthcare providers, which I'm sure you may know about. If you don't, I've included the link to that later on in the slides, but Celia, she definitely knows how to help you find that if you need the copies. Medical and educational evaluations, as well as your IEP, your educational program and plan, and your 504 plans if you're in the United States. Any legal documents, such as trusts, financial documents, such as Social Security, stable accounts, anything like that, have all in one place. And think about who else needs to see this information. And again, over many years of supporting families and being a family, of course, myself, I know it's so easy to put this off, but I hope that at least we can start you all off tonight if you haven't started yet. I mentioned personal computer, making folders. Here's an example of, a name of the file. And then subfolders within that main file can be these types of suggestions: health, school, transportation, other providers. We can go over more ideas on that if you all want to later. Any time you have email documents to and from school or providers, include those in a folder on your computer. Save it into a Word document and then save it into the computer file. And then, of course, the SSI, the trust, any life planning and hopes and dreams for your child. That's that vision statement. As our children age and as we age, the vision statement often is called life plan, because guess what? Someday we parents, we family members won't be around as long as our children are. So we want whoever takes over their care to understand what our hopes are for our child's continued life. And of course, we mentioned the one-page description and the health summary. Got Transition has a link to a really nice health summary if you want to take a look at it. Some of you may heard about a care notebook. This is sort of the original way of organizing our records. I used to teach a class eons ago to families and work with families with all of their binders and printed out information. And we used to sit down and actually organize records over a period of time, a series of trainings. Now you can do that yourself. You can look at an example of a care notebook using this link included down here. Celia, you'll have to help me fact check. This link may need fixed, and we may need to give the users of this slideshow a better link to that example.
Okay, I'll look into it now.
Thank you. So again, a binder, just like your computer folder, can have different sections for whatever's important or the most important for you and your child. And another tip we use is to include business cards in a plastic sleeve that you can get at Office Max. Google Drive. This can be really effective for those of us that are techie, that love technology. The beauty, of course, with a Google Drive or any cloud drive, it can be Dropbox or others, you can share that information with friends, family, and others who either need to know the information or who already know it, but need to see the files. So for example, someone who is older as an adult, like my son, we have a network of interested friends and family that we have shared a Google Drive with that has all of my son's important information, or at least the most current. And I look at it every year and make sure it's shared with a few key family members and friends, just in case if I am no longer able to access the information myself. Of course, you can get it anywhere, anytime with a smart device or a computer. You can use certain headers. I'm going to demonstrate what some of ours look like. And again, you'll see a theme here, right? Some of the headers are going to be medical information, legal information, school records, health summary. There's that one-page description again, and maybe a life plan of what your wishes are if you're no longer around. I'm sorry if this is fuzzy, but I wanted to give you an example of what a Google Drive can look like. So you can see here the name of the Google Drive is Tim's Important Documents, and then it says Emergency Records and medical information. And then within this giant Google Drive, I have his current home and community-based services plan, information about his body, because these are important things to Tim, his recent doctor's appointments and notes that I've pulled down from my chart, history, and again, this file goes on and on and on, just to give you a glimpse at what this could look like and how easy it is for the people who love technology. We have included the special needs trust information, banking information, Social Security information, copy of his Medicaid card, anything anybody needs to know about if I'm no longer able to tell them. And again, back to the physical binder, it can be stored or taken with you. If you have to go to an emergency room, certainly you can take it with you, or when you're out of town. Various tabs, again, this is a little bit repetitive. Just wanted to make sure you knew that a physical binder or an online binder or a Google Drive, these are the things you could include. Okay, I am going to pause just for a moment. So this next step, I'm going to ask you to look at a one-page description along with me. And Celia, could I ask you to add the link to this fillable form to the
The
chat?
chat. Yes. And Amy, I wanted to let you know that that link is not working anywhere. I tried all 3 partners' websites to the link, and it must be down for the Care Notebook. But
Okay.
it's not, I'm not able to reach it on any of them. So we can look into it. And when I find it, if we get a hold of the family to family group, maybe we can forward
Thank
that
you.
in. Yep.
Thank you. So does anybody have any questions so far? Is this helpful? Do you have any questions about anything? Shout out, chat it. Let me know what you're thinking because it's early and we have lots of time. Celia's going to give you the fillable form. Did you already, Celia? You're doing it right now. Off of the slide, because I'd really like some of you who are on the call tonight with us to start filling this out for your child, for your loved one, for you. Really, it's meant for your child tonight, but start anywhere. Because again, I really feel like this simple form is a way to drive whatever conversations you may have with anybody who doesn't know the details that you do about your loved one.
I'm happy to share.
There we go.
Thank you. Hi, Helen.
Hello, everybody. So I am in Australia, and I just want to share my experience of being ready, planning ahead, and it's something you don't think about, like Sandy mentioned in the chat. And I discovered I needed to do this because I am the main carer, along with co-caring with my husband, for my son with complex multiple disabilities, including Rubinstein-Taybi syndrome. And yeah, I had an accident and I was out of action and lying in an emergency department, and realised I had everything in my head but nothing on paper, or on a USB or in a Google documents or whatever it may be. I'm a paper girl. I like my paper. And so I really started, but I didn't do it alone. I also got the team around my son, the supports around him, to help develop, so we do have a medication chart. We do have his loves, likes, dislikes, his favorite music. We just talk about everything and anything. And what you've provided there is absolutely awesome. And I encourage all to start thinking about it. And it doesn't have to happen overnight, because it is gradual. You keep adding to it. It's a living document, but it's just so important. So thank you for sharing.
Oh my gosh, yes, thank you, Helen. And it is exactly that. It's that what if? What if I'm in the hospital? It can be really scary if you wait. So, like I said, just start small if you haven't done it yet. Good example, Helen. And thank you for those of you who are commenting in the chat. So I wanna address this outliving our children. It's real, right? That's a real need and wish that we have. All I can say is, yes, I agree, but what if we don't? So what if we have to go to the hospital? The worst thing that would happen, I think, for anyone is to not have information available to whomever picks up the slack when we can't. You know, some of us have husbands that are wonderful, but still don't know everything that's up here, right? Some of us don't have any spouse and need to share it with a close friend or neighbor.
Amy, you have another question in the chat.
Okay.
Suggestions for those that are in different states other than Ohio for the types of agencies. You've mentioned agencies, but what types of agencies are those that to look for that can offer similar services like, I guess like we do, or other support folks? So the other P2Ps, things like that, I think.
Ohio Family to Family. There's a family to family in all of the United States, including the territories. So we are really lucky in the US. So if anybody has trouble finding their family to family in their state, reach out to me. It's very easy. I network with our national partners all the time. Be very happy to help you find a local family to family for you. I hope that answers that question.
I think it does. And then also the fact that P2Ps are connected nationally. So whether they contact a P2P in their state or contact us, that broader network is something to tap into.
Yes. Actually, some parent-to-parent programs were around in some states before the family to families were. So, you know, some of us that are older, I'm only going to speak for me, you know, we grew up when our kids were little having support groups. We were face to face having support groups, much like tonight, but in person. And that's where we got that parent to parent connection automatically. So now it's even more critical that we've gone virtual and Facebook and social media is available. So again, reach out. My contact information is going to be at the end of this presentation too. Good. Well, thanks for those tidbits in that chat. Keep it coming. So one-page profile is a way for, again, you to have a better way of communicating. Sometimes in high-stress situations, or if we're not planful or prepared, we even have trouble talking about our children's positives. And this is what this one-page profile is. And you can put their picture up here in the top right. So take a look at it with me if you can. If you're on a computer, I don't want you to get disconnected, but take a look at the PDF that Celia showed to you and start thinking about how to fill in the first section. So what people like and admire about me, which is your child or loved one, what positives about him or her that are important to all of you in the family, that anyone who's interacting with them should know. You know, this section, this square, can show who the child is and what they do, what they like. If your child can speak and can give input, they definitely should. This should be their document. What do they enjoy doing? I talked to a mom this morning who said her adult daughter loves Miracle League. She loves basketball. She loves hockey. Anything social. And, you can use pictures or body language to identify what other people would like and admire about your child as well. Everybody has different abilities, so even adult kids or kids who are nonverbal, a lot of information can go in this square. The next section of the one-page description are what's important to your child's quality of life. So think about the quality. These go beyond their likes and preferences or what they like to do. These are things that bring them joy and make them feel good. So it's not just family, it's what they look forward to. And like the example here is, I enjoy eating dinner twice a week with no electronics. Other things to add to this important to me section is relationships. So not just quote unquote my family, but what are those key relationships that are important almost every day, if not several times a week? Who do they see and enjoy being around often? Not just mom and dad. Don't forget, look at the whole child's community. Whether you're religious and have a church community, whether you're involved in a local community group, anything outside of school and family, those are important. Things that they like to do, places they like to go to, any routines, things that they want to have or that they do have that they use all the time. It can be a communication device. Think about communication. Think about what makes them feel good. If they need to have a wallet with them. Some teenagers love their smartphone, but guess what? Sometimes it's not about texting or looking on the internet. It's about taking a picture of things throughout their day that they can send to their important others in their life, maybe a parent or a family member. Just having a communication tool. How they identify with themselves is through their culture and their community, not just their immediate family. So a caution about this square, not to be too general. These are really important things, important to them, important to your loved one. Their quality of life is key here. It may be important pet. The next square or section to fill out is how to support me. Again, if you think about plans in school, think about plans with the medical team. Think about plans with your disability and community-based services. How to support me. This is a lot. I caution families, please think through this. So don't be scared of it. Sometimes I like to tell families, guess what? Thanksgiving's coming up for those who celebrate. This is a time to pass around your child's one-page person-centered description. And it might seem weird, but families that I know got a lot out of this from other people in their extended family who enjoy being around your child, who have learned a lot about life from knowing your child, and maybe have a lot more to add to this one pager than you even do. So think about creative ways of using this one pager. We don't want to focus on what their needs or problems are, but we really want to focus on what they need support with. So is it support with stretching? My child needs stretching in order to stay looser throughout the day because of their tight muscles. My child needs support with brushing their teeth every day because they can't hold the toothbrush or reach their back teeth. Things like that. So this information is written like a to-do list so that other people can follow how this person needs support. It's very practical. If you look at your child's whole day, how they get supported every hour throughout the day can be a way to get these details in place. Some of you may not want to do that yet, and I understand that too. But some examples you can think of is how to get your child out the door for school in the morning, or to preschool, or to therapy. What happens if they need more time and you just give them tips on how to get ready for the day? Some people need support with understanding how to do new things, or little reminders on wearing headphones in a noisy environment. What things they need to do to be safe when out in the community. How to be ready to take a little backpack to preschool or school, stopping at the front door. Okay, Johnny, what do you need for today? And that's what he or she needs support with. So I listed here the guidance that has all of these tips on it. How about we go through the resources, and then I'm gonna let it open for more Q&A. And if anybody wants to share how they would begin filling out their one-page description, that would be really fun, because each of you could inspire the others, I think. Hopefully this is a Care Notebook portal that does work. It looks like it will. If you like a Care Notebook style of using a real notebook in your hands, do that. Charting the life course tools are where we're finding this one-page person-centered description. Here we have another health profile example of if you just need help getting started with your own summary. and of course the RTS fact sheet in Spanish and in English. And we can take some questions now. Here's my information.
Amy, I'm going to put in the chat that link. I'm wondering if it's our coverage here, if anybody is able to open that link for your
Which one?
care notebook. If they're
In
able
the
to, you want
last-
it to, pardon me?
In the last,
Yeah, the last slide. I put it, the one from the last slide in the chat. And I wanted to see if somebody would be willing to try and open it and see if it opens for them. Since I have had internet trouble all day today. So it's in the chat there. If somebody could link on that and just let me know if they have success opening it, I apologize. Anybody able or successful? Wait for a second. Sarah has
Oh.
her camera on.
I was gonna say, does Helen have a question or comment? She has her hand up.
I think it's from before.
Oh,
Yeah, so Celia, the one-page guidance updated PDF I was able to open, and then the medicalhomeportal.org, just like Sarah, it like isn't
It
really
wouldn't open.
loading.
darn.
That's why mine was.
So
what's going on
it's
there, Amy?
almost like timing out on the internet, but I don't know if the website, if it's the website.
Okay. Thank you for
Thank
checking.
you.
I'll
Mhm.
have a better example of a care notebook. And Celia, I assume you will send out some information after the session today?
Yes, they'll get the link to the recording. They'll get some of the handouts. I can attach those so we can put it in there. They'll also get your slides if in a PDF form if you're willing to share those.
Absolutely. So let's take some questions. But I really, really would love to hear who has thought about this. Do you guys already have one of these? Or something similar? You can turn your mics on and cameras on if you'd like. Open discussion time.
I'm going to do that call to be brave and help a girl out to share because once somebody starts talking, we
I
really
will
have rich
say,
conversations.
I'm not a parent and
Mhm.
I'm joining as like an employee of Cincinnati Children's, but when I was teaching, we had some students that were on IEPs, and one really stood out when we had a meeting with the parents. They came with a one-page like this. Like I had all of the 504 and the IEP documents, and that was really dense. And obviously I read through that and reviewed it, but having the one-page document talking about like more of a personal side to that, about like what their child is interested in, like what really helps them focus. I think that was really, really great to share with an educator. From my perspective, it was really nice to get almost like the parents' input as well as what the schools had experienced, just to get to know that child better and to understand what resources and what like modifications were going to work for them.
Sarah put in the
Excellent.
chat that she has, wait a minute, was that Sarah or was it? No, it was Sandy. She said, I don't have anything like this, just struggling with the day-to-day, raising two boys with extremely rare syndromes, but I want to be more organized. And Sarah wants to say something, but she said it's noisy where she is. So she said, she doesn't want her mic on. She said, we've started the process and have similar things in place currently. It definitely helps each new school year with new teachers and new doctors. And I'll share that the one pagers are unique to specific spaces too. So sharing a one pager with your doctor on what you need. And I have had families share with me, because Amy and I both use this tool a lot in our role, that they keep it on top of the information that goes into the exam room, So when the doctor first pulls it out and sees that information as he's entering the room, it can remind him of really important things that are going to make that doctor's appointment more of a success, how to set them up, things that remind the people at the front desk that maybe your child needs to go into the room and not be in the waiting room, because that makes them anxious and uncomfortable. And that's on mom would actually call and say, can you please put that on top of the file and reminding them of what's on there? And I really do think it's something that can give your child a voice in the places and spaces that they're in. So I encourage you to take the time and look at this, because especially the older kiddos often say, no one's asked me what's important to me. And you know, our kids are people, and they want to be seen and heard in a room in whatever way they communicate. And if your child is nonverbal, I share with you the process you would do with this would be to have several people that know them very well. So if it's a school one page, you would use several teachers, or maybe the cafeteria lady that he really likes, or the librarian that she really likes, all do one. And you find those common pieces and you go with those, and that's a starting point. But you bring or other ways to help them bring their voice into the room. So it really is magical. And I'm seeing my internet's acting up again, so I'm going.
Thank you, Sandy, for sharing. She says, honestly, our children's hospital uses my chart, so the medical is mostly there. And Colorado has a CBB, a community-centered board system that manages the boys' waivers, which pays for a lot of their needs and helps with Medicaid. So a lot of this info is with them too. Maybe that's why I've been lazier about it. Yeah, that's fair. You know, a lot of the medical stuff is kept in my chart and they can track it that way.
True, but it's medical, so obviously you know this. That's only one section, for lack of a better word, one color category of your child's life, medical. So our educators and community workers can't see that my chart. So, you know, when someone needs to see a little bit about all of your child, that's what we're trying to encourage, sort of getting all in one place. Seems daunting, but I know some of you can do it if you haven't already.